I just cleared a pit 120 playing this build. As far as I know, that is the highest pit anybody in the world has cleared on any class. This build is completely broken. And yes, this build does use the elixir to do the 120, but I did a 105 minutes with no elixir. Yeah, a 100 pit in 5 minutes, no elixir. Tell me this build isn't freaking broken. There is no other build that is as good as this build, and it is so freaking fun to play. Now, in order to do the pit 120, I had to cut a lot of corners. I had to get perfect rolls on gear. I had to min-max everything. And I had to figure out exactly the perfect balance of everything to be able to clear that. And we're going to talk about that build today. But I'm also going to talk about a build that I used to farm all of this amazing gear. I'm going to talk about the build that I used to kill all the tormented bosses, that I used to clear my first 100. And this build is incredibly powerful. So these two builds are divided into Bone Storm minions and Army of the Dead minions. Bone Storm minions is way tankier. It's way more forgiving. It's way easier to get online. And it can crush Pit 100. It can kill all the tormented bosses. It can do everything you want it to do. And it's really easy to get online and to play. And the other build we're going to talk about is Army of the Dead minions. This build is much squishier. Its stat requirements are much higher to clear the same kind of content. But, once the Army of the Dead version is fully online, it will blow the Bone Storm build out of the water. The Army of the Dead version is what I had to play to get past Nightmare 1, or to get past Pit 110, and it's what I had to play to get all the way to 120. Now, the peak of Army of the Dead is probably something like 125, 130. It's a bit hard to tell at this point, and I think the peak for Bone Storm is probably like 110, 115. But like I said, Bone Storm, very forgiving build. Very tanky, very easy to get online, very easy to start crushing content. The goal right now is to teach you everything that you need to know to pick whether you want to target AOD or whether you want to target Bone Storm. And then we're also going to talk about, if you picked Bone Storm, when you should look to transition to AOD, if ever. Maybe you just want to play Bone Storm forever, which is totally fine too. So, what is the key piece that enables AOD? In my opinion, that is Tyrael's Might. Without Tyrael's Might, AOD is seriously lacking a strong defensive aspect to run alongside with aspect of Hardened Bones. And what's great about Tyrael's Might is that it is completely freaking broken. If you masterwork it, it is out of control good. Why is it so good? Well, one, it gives you maximum resistances, which max res is crazy because you're going from 70% to whatever the maximum is, and it's pure additive, zero diminishing returns, which means that the value of maximum resistance is absurd. It is absolutely crazy. So Tyrael's Might is extremely important to gain the survivability needed to survive without Bone Storm. That being said, if you're feeling particularly ballsy, theoretically you could play this build without the Tyrael's Might, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend you just go Bone Storm and start annihilating everything. So, with that being said, let's talk about a few very important things you need to know about minions. The first thing is that there's a lot of bugs, okay? There's a lot of bugs right now. The first and arguably most important bug is the Elixir of Holy Bolts. Now, this elixir at face value seems meh. After you kill an enemy, Holy Bolts fire from the corpse of that enemy. Pretty underwhelming statement. However, what I believe is happening is that when your minions, whenever something kills an enemy, okay, no matter what it is, the Holy Bolts that trigger, look at the thing that killed it, look at that thing's attack power, and then decide the damage of Holy Bolt. The intended use is you, the Necromancer, kill an enemy, and it uses this number 20,000. However, what I believe is happening is the minion is getting 240% damage, it's getting 40% damage, it's getting 100% damage, it's getting like all of these damage multipliers, and then this number becomes like some astronomical millions, and it says, oh, we're scaling off of some astronomical millions, cool, let's just kill everything on the screen. And that's exactly what happens. Everything on the screen just dies whenever your minions kill something. It is crazy. It is absolutely broken. Now, this might get fixed, this might get nerfed, this might get removed, who knows? Honestly, we don't need it. Like I said, Pit 100, 5 minutes, no Elixir of Holy Bolts, okay? This build is absolutely cracked without it, but with it, it is top, Like, it's hard to even express how broken this build is, okay? This is arguably the most broken build that's ever existed in the game. So, second bug. This one works also very well in our favor. Reapers are currently bugged, so if you pick the Reapers have a chance to carve a corpse, they are also going to have the other effect where they reduce your cooldowns, which means we can have both effects of the Reapers. We have infinite corpses, and they're constantly reducing our cooldowns. Pretty damn strong. Now, the third bug is more of a minor one and won't affect you if you play this build, but I just thought I should throw it in here in case you guys weren't aware, which is that the aspect of Grasping Veins is currently bugged. One, it's not proccing with Sacrilege, which sucks, so the Sacrilege is completely unusable with it. And two, the crit damage multiplier doesn't work with anything, including minions. So, do not run the aspect of Grasping Veins. It is currently bugged. With all that context in mind, let's start going a little deeper into the main differences between AOD Annihilator and BS Megatank. Now, one of the biggest differences is that BS Megatank is playing Golem. The Golem is very strong in BS Megatank because your Bone Storm is going to be replicated onto the Golem, gaining all of the effects, including the aspect of Shielding Storm. This means the Golem and Megatank is crazy for providing tons of survivability. And because we're running the Golem, we go ahead and we pick up both Hulky Monstrosity and the Golem glyph from the Paragon board to beef him up even more. If you want to get even tankier, you can run the Golem absorbs 30% of incoming damage, but if you're looking for more damage, instead pick the Golem 50% damage multiplier. Now, in AOD, we're sacrificing the Golem. The Golem is no longer of use to us. Why is that? Well, a couple of reasons. One, the Golem sacrifice that we're able to run is actually going to give us a 30% crit damage multiplier. This becomes much better as we get more crit. So when you look at our gear, we're stacking the hell out of crit chance to try to get the most value possible out of the Iron Golem sacrifice. And it starts to get pretty good once we get a lot of crit, right? So again, this is a gear requirement thing. We need a lot of gear to make it worth it to sacrifice the Golem. On top of that, because we're running Tyrael's Might, we are losing out on the Golem Mastery roll. This makes the Golem even less valuable. And finally, we're able to replace the Golem with Blight for a 20% damage multiplier. And you can see how all of these things combined really start to pump our mages and really start to make the Golem harder and harder to run. So in the final AOD Gigabyss version, we are fully sacrificing the Golem and going all in on mages. And remember, you might be skeptical of this because, we've all seen on the PTR the Golem one-shotting everything. I did a 120 with no Golem, okay? This build is extremely good, and you don't even have to take my word for it. You can just look at the results. Mage sacrifice, or rather, Golem sacrifice is extremely powerful. So with all that being said, what I suggest to you, the viewer, is do not play AOD unless you have Tyrael's Might. Otherwise, you're going to be confined to doing easy, low-level content because you won't have the survivability to get into the harder end-game stuff. Play BS Megatank, man. Be unkillable. Be a beast. You're still going to kill everything. I did a 100 with BS Megatank. This build is totally fine. And if you drink that elixir, it's magic, bro. It's a magic potion. You're just going to kill everything anyway. Totally fine. But once you get the Tyrael's Might, once you get fully online, start to look to transition to AOD. Link to these builds is in the description, guys. Please check them out. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and check out my stream where I make these builds, where I test these builds. Come watch me push. I did the 120 on stream. I'm pushing tomorrow for 122. Come check it out. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.